Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vitvaram. In this text which we have seen of so far, 8 verses. The 9th one we are started to explain. The nature of our own self is existence, consciousness, and bliss. In this, the bliss aspect or ananda is not unknown to us, because only an object of happiness we love. And our love for ourselves is without any particular reason. If I love anything, an object or a person, there must be some reason for that. And the primary reason is always that object or a thing or a person makes me happy. But then why do you love yourself? Same reason only can be given, because it is something which is of the nature of happiness. When I am in the company or in the presence of that object of happiness, I feel happy. Some people like cat, some people like dog, some people like computer, video games. So when they are in the presence of that object or experiencing that object, there is happiness. So I love my iPad because it entertains me, makes me happy. And the child will say, I love ice cream. I often say this, no? One place I went and I asked that boy, you want ice cream? So that boy said, yes. Then he said, ah! I said, what? You said, no, you want me to scream. He was very unhappy about it. So I asked him, you want ice cream? Yeah, ice cream. So that's why I screamed. Anyway, nothing to confuse you further. So if that child is happy about ice cream, and when you give the child the ice cream, it's very happy. So the logic here is, an object of happiness is what I love. Then why are you loving yourself? I love myself because I'm an object of happiness. So therefore it is said, tat premartham, prema atmartham. Tat prema atmartham. That love is for the sake of oneself only. Anyatra, even others are loved. Others are even loved for the sake of making me happy. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Anything that I love indirectly is because I love myself. Anything that adds more happiness to me, I will love. Now, present condition of ours is, even though I am a very source of love, anandaham, anandoham, yet because of the lack of, one, knowledge of it, second, ability to access that ananda exclusively, we seek something else to make ourselves happy. And anything that makes me happy, I love. Therefore, tat prema atmartham anyatra. I love other thing for my sake. Today also in 10th grade class, I was talking to them. And they had many questions. And what is sannyasa? Why did you take sannyasa? When did you? All those things. Because they are doing some Upanishad Ganga in which the sannyasa ashrama is being discussed. So all the questions I answered. So I said, anybody else? Any other question? So one child asked, how do you make money as a sannyasi? Very practical question. Very straightforward. So I said, you see, I have explained to them about what is desire, etc. I said, money is a means to happiness. It is not happiness by itself. I told that person, that student, let us say you go to a 4-year-old child or 3-year-old child and have a candy in one hand and $100 in another hand. Which one it will pick up? Nowadays, I don't know about the kids, but I'm telling about an innocent kid. The child will obviously pick up the candy and not the currency note, but there is no value for it. It's just a paper. But if I ask that boy, if I give it to you, the choice, what will you pick? Obviously, the $100. So the 4-year-old who is looking at you will think that you are a fool. Now, why are you not picking up the candy? Now you tell me, is it not the concept of happiness between that 3-year-old and the 15-year-old has changed? What is the concept of happiness for the child, which is 3-year-old? Candy. Instant happiness. But for you, it is not the instant happiness, constant happiness. I can have $100, I can get as many candies as you want. Or anything else that can make me happy. Okay. So we can understand the maturity of an individual based upon that only the concept of happiness changes, and according to the concept of happiness, so will be the choices. So, what is that which I consider as happiness today is not going to be the same when I mature myself into some other greater understanding. So, money is a means, it's one of the means, not the means to happiness. If a person is having a very bad health, COVID, let us say, I give $1,000, happy? अरे बाबा ये निकालना है मुझे. How much over money you give, it is not going to vaccine है कि नहीं? Okay, between vaccine and $1,000, which one you choose? Obviously, you'll choose the vaccine because that is going to give him greater happiness than what $1,000 or a $10,000 can give, because he can now survive. Now, between life and anything else, which one is yours? You want to live or you want this one? I will definitely choose life. All of us. Because that life is irreplaceable. Can you replace anything with life? Okay, take my life and give me something else. What for then it will be? If life is gone, what for will be another thing? Who is going to use it? You see, our most dear thing is life. And therefore, for that sake only, because I am not able to presently access the nature of my own self as Ananda, either I do not know or I do not know how to, even if I know how to be there, therefore, I will look for everything else that can make me happy. Tat prema atmartham anyatra. But interesting thing is, next line what he puts, na evam anyartham atmani. The love for others is really for the self, but the love that is seen in the self is not for others. You cannot replace that love for you, your own self, with anything else. The very fact that I love myself is to prove that I am of the source of happiness. And if somebody asks you, why do you want to be happy? What will be your answer? Because what? Because of what? Now, I don't know the answer. You tell me. All of us have the same answer. There is no answer. No one answer is, I wouldn't want to be unhappy. Atma prem. Ataha tat paramam. Therefore, tat paramam. That alone is the love for the Supreme Self alone is the supreme. Love for the Self alone is the supreme. And therefore it is proven, Atmanaha Paramanandata. The nature of the Self is of pure happiness, bliss. I cannot replace it with anything else. Not only human, we are able to communicate and talk about it, and therefore we are to understand. But even without knowing this, all living beings are also doing the same thing. The minutest, smallest ant onwards, the gigantic dinosaur, every one of them, all living beings, Ya Brahmadi Pipilikant Tanushu Prota Jagat Sakshini. That Atman which is present in Brahma onwards, Pipilika Anta Tanushu, even the smallest ant, Prota, throbbing within, Antaha, Anta Sakshini, witnessing everything, Sa eva aham, nadu drishya vastu, idi drada prajna yasyasti chet. That alone am I. One who has this correct knowledge is my Guru. Therefore, my self-love, here self is S capital. I'm talking about the higher self, not the physical body or any other identification presently I consider as myself. That is out of misunderstanding. And of course, because of the absence of the knowledge of the self of the higher nature, presently we consider the self as only that which is known to us as the physical body. Even this physical body, when we are in love with, a part of that body has become cancerous, would you not immediately cut it off if possible? If my hand, the right hand has got cancer, let us say, and it is spread over, and I have to get rid of it, I will get rid of it. Why? Because that is going to affect me, the life. Right? So which part of the body do you think that you are in love with? I am in love with life. And because it is now presently seen only as my physical body, therefore, it is like this. If you have a locker in which you have some precious things and you have locked with the key, you are in love with the key. You keep it very safe. Not that the key is important to you. What key can do, what it can open. Keep it safe, the key. Why? It's a key to something else. You put it under the pillow also, making sure that nobody takes it, and you go to sleep. So is it not true that the key by itself is not important to me? What is important to me is that safety box, secure, what it calls security, a secure box or safety box. Safe, okay. Not safety. So safe. That safe is also not important. What is inside the safe? If I have emptied out and give you the key, what use is that key for me? Similarly, this physical body, when he is there, we are Shiva. When he is not there, we are Shava. You don't even have a second look at that body when it is no more alive. Bharya bibhyati tasmin kaye. Bhagavan Shankaracharya said very clearly. Even your wife who had been serving you, loving you as you, the physical body, the moment you are gone, that physical body is as soon as possible, get rid of it. Not even one day will keep. It has to be immediately disposed of. Why? वो नहीं है ना. The indweller, the Paramatma, the self, the love, that is not present in that physical body, then there, what use is that body, physical body then? So, ataha tat paramam, that alone is the supreme love, and therefore, atmanaha paramanandata. Therefore, the supreme love nature of bliss is of the Paramatma. Okay. So, Atmanaha Paramanandata is proven. Atmanaha Sattvarupa is proven. Atman through the three states of experiences. Atmanaha Chit nature is also proven. Right? In these verses we have completed that. So, in the following verse, verse number 10. Ittam Satchit Parananda Atma Yuktya Tadavidam Param Brahma Tayoschaikyam Shrutyanteshu Padishyate. Ittam Satchit Parananda Atma Yuktya Tatavidam Param Brahma Tayoschaikyam Shrutyanteshu Padishyate. Ittam, in this way, Sat Chit Paranantaha Atma. The self is of the nature of existence, because which never fails to be consciousness, which is available as awareness in all the three states of experiences, yet it is different from all the three. Ananda, that which is of the nature of love, self-love, and which cannot be replaced by anything else. So Atman is Sat, Chit and Ananda. This is Yuktya Tatavidam. Yuktya, by logic, it is proven. Yuktya Tatavidam. Tatavidam Brahma Parabrahma. So Yuktya Ittam, meaning to be understood, Ittam Atma Satchidanandha iti Upadishyate. Then also Tadavidam, of the same nature, is what? Param Brahma. Brahman is also of the same nature. Therefore, Tayoho, of these two, Aikyam, oneness, also Shruti Anteshu, Vedante, Upadishyate. Ultimately, the intent of the teaching, Vedanta teaching, is not only to realize one's nature as Satchidananda, but that alone is. Anything else doesn't exist. When I come to realize my nature, the self is of this nature, that is, Atman is of this nature, I must also recognize that very same self is the self of all. Mamatma Sarvabhutatma. Myself is the same self in all living beings. When that is recognized, that is called Atma Brahma Aikyatvam. Oneness between self and the Supreme Self. And only when this Aikyam, this oneness is realized, a person is said to be complete and free. Otherwise, what happens? That I realize myself, oh, what about others? I don't know about them. I don't care. मैं आत्मा हूं, ये मैं जानता हूं, और सब लोग मैं पता नहीं क्या. Everyone, everything is one and the same. ये समझना चाहिए. Unless this is understood that all are the same, real freedom is not there. And that is the reason why Vedanta does not exclude the world. For the sake of analysis and understanding, for the sake of exclusive paying attention to the self, the world is kept aside for a while. Let us focus upon what you are first. A student who is approaching the teacher, seeking this knowledge, thinking that there is suffering, there is unhappiness in this world, and there is death and sorrow, etc. The teacher, okay, come here in the solitude. I will teach you about what you are, who you are, etc. Once that student has understood clearly what his nature is, now the teacher say, open your eyes and look at the world. It's the same thing everywhere. There's no difference at all. Go back to the same world only, which you came from. Now you are different. Otherwise, you have to run away and hide somewhere in the cave. Hiding away in the cave, that is not freedom. I am free, but I'm afraid of the world. Is that you call it as freedom then? Freedom is complete only when you come to realize that who you are or what you are is the same everywhere. There is no difference between me and the Supreme Self. Tayoho cha aikyam shruti anteshu. Shruti means Vedas, anta end. So end of Veda, Vedanta. Shruti anteshu, in the scriptures, that is Upanishatsu, upadishyate, is spoken or is taught. Unity alone can give true peace. And that unity should have no other criteria. All other things, physical form, name, and all other external factors, which is apparently dividing every one of us from every other, must be disregarded or left behind to recognize and connected to that oneness. Once the oneness is recognized and known, you understand all other factors which apparently have created divisions are apparent only. They have no reality. It is only apparent, situational, temporary. Presently, we are looking at the diversity as important. A unity, we have put it in the back burner. Unfortunately. So here, tayoho cha aikyam, the oneness of Brahman and the Atman. See, these are all only point of reference only. Atman and Brahman in nature is one and the same. A point of reference with respect to physical body, it is referred as Atman. With respect to the world, it is referred as Brahman. That's all the difference. Now, you have how many oceans are there in this world? How many seas? 7, right? Broadly speaking. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean. Is it so? Is it? There are 7 seas. According to the continental identification. Really speaking, all are connected to one thing. One single H2 only is going everywhere. The names are given according to the particular geographical area. That's all. It is not different. It's the same. Everything is connected. All the seas are connected only. You don't see it, but it is. The sea, you don't see. It's all connected. No sea is independently staying other than the other one. Cannot. But we refer to it as one and this and that. In the same way, we are all connected, apparently having the division based upon so many self-created factors, and that needs to be broken asunder. Then only one can realize the oneness. And that being the central point of Vedanta. Vedanteshu Upanishatsu Upadishyate is being expounded. All right. No, the subject is over. No. Oh, yeah. No. See, every teaching not only has a theory, but also has practice. Without practice, only theory makes you scholar, but not a saint. You are only a mere intellectual, and nothing changes in you or in us in general when we do not apply that knowledge correctly. Now, having explained that nature of us is pure existence, consciousness, and bliss, you understood? Yes. I know. You know it? Yes. Do you? The teacher is asking, do you know? Now you see the next verse. Abhane na param prema bane na vishaye spruha ato banepya bhatasau paramanandatatmanah अभानेन परं प्रेम बानेन विषये स्पृहा अतो बानेऽप्यभातासौ परमानन्ददात्मनः. It's very interesting logic, no? Vidyaranya is such a very different kind of thinker. See, do you love something which you don't know? Do you know? Tell me. I love what? I don't know. You cannot love something which you don't know. So when I say I love myself, nobody is saying that I don't love myself. Even a person who is 90-year-old, about to be dying, still, even though physical body is failing, all faculties are failing, still the love for oneself is not diminished. Whether you are beautiful or ugly, whether you are young or old, you are educated or uneducated, nobody says, really speaking, I don't love myself. So, argument is what? That which you don't know, you cannot love. Clear? Abhane na param prema. Abhane, bha is to know. Bhati, shines, known, being aware. Abhane, sati. If it is not known, na bhavet prema. Prema na bhavet. There cannot be a love for a thing I don't know. So when I say I love myself, that means you know yourself as the supreme, and here it is not alpa prema, param prema. Now why it is said param prema, I have explained to you. You are ready to sacrifice anything for its sake. Right? I am ready to sacrifice for the life. I can sacrifice anything. Money, people, everything. Do you have a love for anything like that? Emotionally, you would say, for my son's sake, I can do anything. That supreme love is exclusively only for the self because of the fact that Gurudev has very beautifully said, love is measured by the amount of sacrifice you do. That's the measure of love. I love you. What do you sacrifice for me? Nothing. Then it is not love. The greater the sacrifice, the greater is the love. So for the sake of my life, I can sacrifice anything. Therefore it is said, irreplaceable is that. Nothing can replace my own self. So that is why it's called Param Prema. Even Narada Bhakti Sutra, what is the first sutra there? Atato Bhaktim Vyakyasyamaha. Second sutra is Parama Prema Rupaha. Rupa. Bhakti Parama Prema Rupa. The nature of supreme love. वो भगवान ही है आत्मा के रूप में. So, now you see, if you say, I love myself, supreme love for me, then you know it. Correct or not? Because the unknown cannot be loved. Okay, that's the one logic. Second, when you have when you know the self as the very source of happiness, because of which you have supreme love for it, because supreme happiness alone can get you or can deserve supreme love. Chota happiness, chota love. Supreme happiness, supreme love. If I have supreme love for myself, it should be supreme happiness. If you have supreme happiness as yourself, then why you go after the objects? That's a question. Bhane, if you know it, na vishaya spruha. There cannot be any happiness you will seek for from objects. Vishaya spruha, vishaya ichcha, vishaya kama, I mean, you are looking for happiness from objects, things, and other beings. Is there or not? Yes. That means what? If you have happiness deriving from the supreme love you have for your own self, then in that case, bhane sati na vishaya spruha. There cannot be true looking or longing for objects. So there is a problem here. Yeah, a problem. I know myself as the very source of supreme happiness. Contradictorily, I have longing for objects also. Now the question is, ataha, therefore, your statement, I know the self, is questionable. If you know yourself as the very source of happiness, because of which you have so complete love for it, if that is your statement, then you should not have any love for objects which are of temporary happiness. But the very fact that you love objects and things other than yourself, I doubt whether you know yourself. Bhane api abhata. Even though I know, actually it is unknown. अरे बाबा क्या हो रहा है? Interesting. Do you really know? It is like, if there is a person introducing you to another person. After a few days or weeks, if you happen to see that person in a shop or in a mall or whatever, I know. Do you know? I know. What does that mean? That dragging shows not fully. I know, but I don't know. Your wife will look at you. What do you mean by that? See, I know. I know he's friend of friend. Then who is he? That I don't know. I know the name also, but where does he live? That I don't know. So you have an idea but not what it is, really speaking. See, as much as we have no idea about Atman when we were in the school or the university, nobody talked to us about that. Then we are introduced to this Vedanta accidentally. Some of them are gate crashers, So they accidentally came to know about Atman. All right. After having studied a few books and other things, lectures you heard, now you know, yes, I know Atman. Tell me. So we have an idea, the notion, but we don't know fully. So do you call that as a knowing? If it is fully known, you need nothing else. If the yajñātva sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Is it not having known which there is nothing more to be known? Yajñātva na punarvoham yevam yasyase Pandava. Krishna says, if you know this, then you will never get deluded. So my knowledge of the self, my own self, not anybody's, my own self, is incomplete. Therefore, you have to say, I know, but I don't know. The dragging of knowing is, I know. That's what he says. Ataha bhane api abhata abhata asau. Even though I know, it is actually unknown. What? Atmanaha paramanandata. The bliss of the Brahman is something which I know theoretically, I know it is, but it is not complete knowledge. It is like when you are to meet somebody in the airport to pick up that person, and you are given a description of that person. You will have long hair, Swamiji, long hair, saffron colored dress you will be wearing. And usually restless. So all these descriptions are given. So when you are parking your car, you are stopping the car, look for that person, because the person said that I will be standing. It happened to me also. So I said that I will be standing, I don't have luggage, so I will come out and wait for you. You can pick me up. Okay. And then I asked him, to be on my sake, for my own security, what car you are coming? I also asked that question. This was pre-phone era, pre-cell phone era. Because afterward, I can probably call this pre-cell phone era. So he said that I'm coming in Toyota on a white color. Okay, fine. Waited. Every white car I walked, everything passed me, nothing stopped. What is this? And because it was winter, I was not wearing this. I was wearing a small kind of a coat. I never go to East Coast during the winter, but at that I had to go for a fundraiser. I said, okay. I wear a black coat on the top of it, and I was covering my head also. So that person was standing with a black Mercedes, which is wife's car, because his white Toyota got into some trouble. He is sitting there with a black Mercedes car, and I am standing there looking for him. Both of them could not meet each other. Why? My description, his description of about me is there in him, but that is not the way I am up in front of him. And the car, he said that he will come, and that is what I am looking for. If he had even missed me, I could have stopped him, but he is not in that car. Bhane api abhata. Finally, I removed my coat, and then Swamiji. I'm standing there for the past 10 minutes. So, do you know Brahman as Ananda Swarupa? I know. theoretically. But if it had been my own experience that it is of the nature of supreme bliss, I know it and I have experienced, then there cannot be any more attraction towards anything which is fleeting. The very fact that still I have the Vishaya Spruha, that means your knowledge about yourself is incomplete. Ataha bhane api, even though known, abhata asau, this is unknown. What? Atmanaha paramanandata. Bliss of the self is still unknown only. So now you see, by merely theoretically knowing the nature of a thing, will it give you experience of it? Is that mere theoretical understanding of myself as the bliss? Now I know I am bliss. Now are you happy? No, I am still miserable. Why you are miserable if you know that you are of the nature of bliss? I know. From here, it has not gone here. From the head and the heart, there is a big gap there. It is not connected. What I know is not my experience. Because that knowledge is incomplete. All right. Incomplete knowledge, what can we do with that? Apurna jnanam. Apurna jnanam abhi ajnanameva. Avidyayamantare vartamanaha swayam dhira pandidam manyamanaha tam dramyamanaha paryanti moodaha ante neva niyamana yatandhaha. Isn't it? Avidyayamantare vartamanaha. As even they are dwelling in their own ignorance. Swayam dhiraha pandidam manyamanaha, thinking themselves as great pandits and scholars. Dram yamanaha, bewildered, confused, moving about, like as though blind leading the blind. They are blinding themselves. Acha, theek hai. I understood this. Can you give me an example for this? Yes, you are. Here you are. Adyetra varga madhyastha putradyayana shabdavat Panepyabhanam bhanasya pradibandena yujyate. Adyetru varga madhyastha putradyayana shabdavat Panepyabhanam bhanasya pradibandena yujyate. Beautiful example. You go to Balvihar class. Your child is there. And all of them are chanting the opening prayers. Sahana bhavato, sahana ubhunakto, sahaviryam karavavahai. With no tune or music sense, the teacher also teaching like that and the student also chanting. Now, you are not allowed to get into that classroom, but you are just outside because that fellow, sometimes be cranky. So you want to make sure that that fellow is okay. So you are standing outside. But what happens at that time? You hear the chanting. And you know that your son is also chanting. In the chorus, your son's chanting is also included. But you cannot exclusively hear his voice. Oh, interesting. Adyetru varga madhyastha. Adyetru, these chanting students, Vargamadhyasya, among those people is sitting, Putra, your son. Adhyayana Shabdavat, when they are chanting, Adhyayana Shabda is chanting of the verses from the scriptures. You hear the chorus, like the voice of the chanting of the son seated with their students, with other students. Bane api, even though known, even though they hear as part of the chorus. Abanam. Bane api abanam. Even though you hear that, but you don't know. Why? Of what? Banasya. So, just like the father who is standing outside is unable to exclusively pick up the voice of his own son. Why is not able to see that? Because it is not exclusively, you cannot distinguish from from others. Here the Bhashyakar, he says, Adyetrunam Vedapaatakanam Vargaha Samuhasya Madhyesthastitaha Sa cha asau putrascha idi tasyaadhyayanam patanam shabdaha bahistasya pituhu basamanaha api samanyataha na basate visheshataha. Visheshataha na basate. Samanya na basate. Meaning, in general, you hear the sound mixed with all other chanting, but you cannot exclusively pick up and say, this is my son's voice. Interesting, huh? That is why in the Swaranjali and all, some people only open and close their mouth. They don't really sing, because if they sing, there cannot be audience, you see. and especially Swaranjali or Shlokanjali, any of the Anjalis, some of them were put behind. Some of them were in the front. Only those who know in the front. Behind are all Namke Vaste, they will be sitting there. Opening or closing, opening or. That happens when I was teaching in Sandipani also. Vedic chanting. Morning at 5:30 we have the Vedic chanting. And they all chant, but when as a teacher I will look at each one's mouth, who's chanting. I had some 60 students. I have to look at each one's face. Some of them I know very clearly, they are just opening and closing their mouth. Then what I do? First row, be quiet. Second row, chant. Let me see. The first row chanting is the loudest. The second row chanting is okay. Third row, you can hear. Fourth, whisper. Fifth, watch. You can only watch them. There's nothing. Sound is not coming out. I've gone through all those things. What can I do? That's the truth. So you hear but not hear. You hear the sound along mixed with all others. And that is the reason this teacher says, now, okay, now you chant. Fellow is completely lost. No, I can't chant. You are there able to, you are chanting. I need all others to chant with me, then only I can chant. So here, Adyetru Vargamadhyastha Putraha Adhyayana Shabdavat, Putrasya Adhyayana Shabdavat. like that of the sound of this sun who is sitting in the midst of all other chanters, and his sound is Bane in this, even though it is there, but you cannot exclusively know it. In the same way, even though I know myself, yet it remains hidden. Bane api, it is always there. It never becomes absent. Atman is one thing, is never absent. Always there. You may be absent-minded, but you can never be absent. So that self is never absent. It's always there, yet remains unknown. Unknown means here what? It is not known exclusively. And nobody says, I don't exist. Can you say? Are you there? What? Are you there? I don't exist. You can never make that statement. Can you make that statement? Ever? I don't exist. When maybe out of anger you say, I don't exist for you anymore. Go. That you can say. You don't want that person to exist in front of you. That's all it is. So I cannot say that I don't exist. What happened? The power suddenly went down. How can that be? Sorry for the power just went off. Okay. So I can never make the statement I don't exist. Bane api, even though known, abhanam. Banasya abhanam. Of the known, it is remaining unknown. And what is that which makes that self which is always present is not available, makes it not available for me exclusively? That is called pradibandha, obstacle. There is some kind of an obstruction that is causing this. The inability to exclusively know the self or completely know the self. And that obstruction, unless removed, there cannot be experience. What do you need to do for your son's voice to be heard? Make all other students to keep quiet. Chalo, aap sab log chup karo ho, chup raho. All of you keep quiet. Now you chant. Your father is hearing. Okay, chant. Which means what? Exclusive attention on that consciousness. While the thoughts created by the mind has to be made quiet. It's indirectly, that's what it means. Atmanah jnanam bhavayet. When does that exclusive knowledge and awareness of the self will happen? Manalaye, manonashe, vrittishunye. In the absence of the obstructions called thoughts, thoughts being created by kama, kama being the product of vasana. Vasana kshayo vai moksha. Only when the vasanas are extinguished, removed, there cannot be any more desires, and desire being the cause of the thoughts. When desires are no more, prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamano gadan atmanyevatmana tushtaha stita prajnastadochate. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha bhavati. So, interesting. Now, what is this pradibandha? What is this obstruction? We will see in the next class. This is an interesting way of analyzing. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkhabad Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just to stay, I have an announcement to make.